Hello students, welcome to this third or the last session on speech mechanism. Today we'll talk about the articulatory system, which plays an important role in speech mechanism. But first, let's recapitulate what we have done so far in the previous two sessions on speech mechanism. We have discussed about speech mechanism in general, that how the organs of the human body that produce speech sounds are called the organs of speech, and these organs of speech can be divided into three groups. The way in which these three groups or three systems work together to produce speech is called speech mechanism. Then we discussed that how the respiratory system works in the speech mechanism. We had also discussed in detail how the airstream mechanism initiates the production of speech sounds, then how this airstream is modified by the phonatory system, or how the process of voicing takes place at phonatory system. We had also discussed the difference between voiced and voiceless sounds, and today we'll focus on the articulatory system. As we have discussed in the previous session, that how the process of voicing is done at larynx or at the phonatory system. So after passing through the larynx, the air is further modified by the various shapes that the articulators above the larynx assume before it meets the air outside. And each modification affects the quality of the sound produced. And these articulators, which are situated above the larynx, they together form the articulatory system, and they are these 8 which are displayed on your screen. We'll talk about all these articulators in detail now. First, we'll begin with pharynx. Students, pharynx is a common passage for respiration and digestive system. It extends from the top of the larynx to the root of the tongue, which lies opposite to it. The muscles of the pharynx can greatly modify the shape and the size of the pharyngeal cavity by contracting or expanding. It can also be modified by the movement of the back of the tongue, by the position of the soft palate, by the raising and the lowering of the larynx. So each modification affects the quality of the sound we produce. After the pharynx, another important articulators are the upper and the lower lips, or we can say they are in the frontmost position of the oral tract, and they have an important role to play in the production of speech sounds. For example, the consonant sounds p and b are produced by closing the lips tightly and then releasing the closure abruptly to let out the air built up behind the closure. Secondly, the consonant sounds like m is produced by bringing both the lips together and allowing the air to escape through the nose. Similarly, in the production of vowel sounds also, the rounded, spread and neutral, these 3 positions of the lips play an important role, and we will discuss in detail about these positions of the lips in the production of the speech sounds. Then after lips there are teeth, and we produce some consonant sounds with the help of teeth. For example, putting the tongue in between the front teeth, the sounds which are produced are called interdental fricatives. Like the initial sounds in the words think and that, means the sounds th and the are the interdental fricative sounds, and they are produced by putting the tongue in between the front teeth. Then there are labiodental fricatives like f and w. They are produced by pressing the lower lip with the upper front teeth. So this is how the teeth also play an important role in the production of the speech sounds or in the articulation process. After teeth ridge, there comes the teeth ridge. So first let's know what it is. The teeth ridge is the convex bony part of the roof of the mouth which lies immediately behind the upper front teeth. Students, it is also called alveolar ridge or the alveolum, and this hard raised structure can be felt with the tip of the tongue. And now the point is how it helps in production of the speech sounds. Here is an example. We have the sounds like t, d, n, l and s or z. So these very sounds are produced by making a firm contact at the teeth ridge with the tip of the tongue and releasing the closure suddenly. I'll repeat. D, s. So this is how these very sounds are produced with the help of the teeth ridge. Then there is another important articulators are the hard palate, soft palate and the uvula. The hard palate, immediately after the teeth ridge, the roof of the mouth becomes concave, as it is visible on your screen. This is the hard palate. So immediately after the teeth ridge, the roof of the mouth becomes concave and it's hard and bony, and this bony concave surface is called hard palate. And how it helps in the production of speech sound? For example, when we say yes, here the initial sound in the word yes, it is produced with the help of the hard palate. Then there is soft palate. Now first let's see where is it situated. If we continue to move our tongue after the hard palate, it can go beyond the point in the roof of the mouth where the hard palate ends, and the roof of the mouth becomes soft. This soft portion of the roof of the mouth is known as soft palate, and it is also called velum. And in the production of speech sounds, it acts in two ways, or we can say this soft palate acts like a valve in opening and closing the nasal passage of the air. Students, keep in mind that soft palate acts like a valve in opening and closing the nasal passage. How it happens? That if the soft palate is raised so that it touches the back wall of the pharynx and the passage into the nose is closed, the air then cannot escape through the nose at all. So the closure of the nasal passage of air by raising the velum or by raising the soft palate is called vellic closure. And the sounds which are produced when the air escapes through the mouth are called oral sounds. For example, the sounds in the words teacher and spray. So students, I'll repeat here that soft palate acts as a valve, and when the soft palate is raised to touch the back wall of the pharynx and to close the passage into the nose, so then the air cannot escape through the nose. The sounds which are produced at that time when the air escapes through the mouth are the oral sound. And on the other hand, when the soft palate is lowered, the air escapes through the nose. How it happens? The sounds which are produced when the soft palate is lowered, the air escapes through the nose, and these sounds are called nasal sounds. For example, when we pronounce m, n, the soft palate is lowered, and these are the nasal sounds. So make a note of how these nasal and oral sounds are produced, and what is the role of the velum or the soft palate in the production of these sounds, oral and nasal ones. So now to ascertain whether a sound is oral or nasal, we can block the nostrils while articulating the sounds. If the sound stops, the sound is nasal, and if we can continue to produce the sound even after blocking the nostrils, then the sound is oral. Now, students, you can try with the sounds s and ma. S, ma. We can't speak, we can't articulate ma sound. So ma is the nasal sound. So this is how you can experiment about that how the soft palate plays an important role in the production of nasal and oral sounds. And at the end of the soft palate, there hangs a small pendant like a drop-shaped structure. Here it is there on your screen. This small pendant-like fleshy tongue, I should say, is called uvula, and the back of that tongue can make contact with uvula for the production of certain sounds. For example, the initial sound in the word community, k. So now, lastly, there comes another important organ of speech, that is tongue. Tongue is the most important organ of the speech, and students, it is the most flexible organ of the speech. It can take up a very large number of positions during the production of various sounds, and for the sake of describing these shapes and positions, we divide tongue into parts. If you look into the mirror, when you open your mouth wide and let your tongue rest on the floor of the mouth, you will notice that the tongue is a slightly convex muscle. And the part of the tongue that lies behind the lower teeth is called the tip of the tongue, as it is shown here in this very diagram. This is the tip of the tongue just behind the teeth. This very structure is for the teeth, as it is shown in the diagram here. The part of the tongue which lies opposite to the teeth ridge, this one, this is called blade. Then beyond the blade is the front of the tongue. It is the part of the tongue which lies opposite the hard palate when the speech organs are at rest. And beyond the front is the back of the tongue, which lies opposite the soft palate when the speech organs are at rest. And even beyond the back is the root of the tongue. And lastly, two sides of the tongue are called rims. So students, after getting familiar with the organs of speech, now it is important for us to note that some organs remain active and some passive while the production of speech sounds, and they are called active articulators and passive articulators. The active articulators are those organs of speech that can move from their position of rest towards the passive articulators, or the organs of speech that doesn't move while speaking. For example, the production of sound t. The tip and the blade of the tongue move from their position of rest to articulate against the teeth ridge t. So the tip and blade of the tongue is in movement. So here tip and blade of the tongue is the active articulator and the teeth ridge is the passive articulator. So this is how the speech mechanism works to produce speech sounds. So now up to now I hope that it is quite clear to you that how respiratory system, phonatory system and articulatory system, they work together in the process of production of speech sounds. Now the question is that how the sounds are classified into vowels and consonants. We will discuss in detail about this very classification, but for now we will try to understand two broad phonetic categories, that how they are classified. Students, when we articulate vowel sounds, the air from the lungs escapes freely and continuously and through the mouth. You all know, and you can try it. When we articulate the air from the lungs escapes freely and continuously. And on the other hand, when we articulate the consonant sounds, for example, p, b, s, t, the air from the lungs may not escape freely. It escapes with difficulty, sometimes producing a lot of friction. So this is how the sounds which are produced in this way, they are categorized or classified as consonantal sounds. So this is how the phonetically the vowel sounds and the consonantal sounds are classified, and we will in the further videos we will discuss in detail that how the vowel sounds are described and classified and how the consonantal sounds are classified and described. That's all for today. Thank you.